Hey there, and welcome back to Sweat Media here at the convergence of AI and Web3. And I am still in very hot Korea. It is ridiculously hot here. I'm basically melting on a daily basis. And reminder that tomorrow we're going to have a Swept Spaces, another one of those. It's turning into a pretty regular series with my buddy Jun Kim. He's a general manager at Hashed. And this week we're going to be featuring someone from Agent 8. That's the gaming chain. He's the head of BD. Ronald, very happy to have him. So hopefully you can stop by. I'll put the link in the description so that you can, of course, follow me, Swept Media on X, and then also join us for that Spaces tomorrow, especially if you're a gaming fan. This is going to be a big one. I'll be talking with him about what AI agents are going to be doing in Web3 games. And that's something also that I talked about with virtual. So this seems to be the paradigm that people are going after. But that brings us to the topic of today's video. This update is about what are AI agents and what is the market outlook for them. I found this report from Morgan Stanley. It is titled AI Agents Knocking at the Door. Now, for big institutions, they're probably looking at this like it's a brand new thing and it's something that they should be looking at. Of course, for us in the Web3 space, we've already known about AI agents having an impact on our daily lives, whether that be from the tokens that you're trading, from the ones that you're deploying through something like a Virtuals, or any other applications you might be cooking up in your mom's basement right now. But for the purposes of this report, we're going to be looking at the opportunity size, the projected opportunity size for AI agents in general, not just in Web3, but in general, to give us an idea of exactly what we're doing here and how big this thing can be, which, of course, I think we know it can be big, but let's put some specificity on it. Exactly how big are we projecting this to be in dollar values? So we'll start here by talking about who is poised to capture the agentic opportunity. Who can actually make a profit from this? And because it's Morgan Stanley, they're going to be looking at major enterprises. So in this chart here, you can see that they're talking about wild cards, ones that may or may not actually be a part of this, kind of on the outskirts. Agent contenders, which are vendors that are in the right categories to see a benefit, but they are going to need a lot of help to get there, basically. And then the pure agentic beneficiaries, who are the ones who I've talked about a lot here, the likes of Microsoft, that's Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, OpenAI, Anthropic, Palantir, ones that we know a lot about already, and they're already building agents. In the case of OpenAI, it's the largest LLM in the world. Okay, so we know that they're going to be beneficiaries of this agentic opportunity. A couple other names here: SailPoint, or is that SailPoint? I can barely read it. I don't know that company. Cloudflare, of course. GitLab is kind of in the middle. One of those contenders. Adobe. That would be interesting. I know Adobe has, they have an LLM or an AI assistant in their reader already, and across their suite of products. So I guess they're not necessarily contenders, but they're not building. They probably outsource that to someone else to build it. And how will these agents be priced? This is one of the most important aspects, I think, and something that if you're a builder, if you're making a product, if you're an entrepreneur, one of the most important things in any aspect of your business is the pricing. Because you can have great marketing, but if the pricing is not on point, then it's going to push a lot of people away, just because of the concrete impact that it has on people. It's very rare to have pricing not matter. We could go into some business class about exactly what that means, but in the case of AI agents, which are brand new, pricing is going to be very, very important. Free is the best pricing. You get to use OpenAI's ChatGPT for free. Same with Venice AI, or same with DeepSeek. You don't have to give it any money. That's the best price possible. but at some point there's pricing involved here, like your Gemini Pros or even your Chat GPT. What is it, the 4.0? Those you have to pay for those. Any Pro version you have to pay for it to get more outputs, to get more compute, to get more memory. You have to pay for it. So pricing is very important. That's why this is being considered here in this report. So they've broken this down into 4 sectors: outcome-based, variable, activity-based, and fixed pricing. Where would our OpenAI fall? Okay, so variable and activity-based. What that means is the pricing changes based on the amount that you use it. This is the model that Anthropic and OpenAI are using now. Fixed but activity-based. So you pick, I'm only going to use X amount of memory on a monthly basis, so you pay for that. That's what Workday and Cognition are working on. Zendesk. So outcome-based, what is the size of the thing that you're trying to make the LLM do? What is the amount of, how big is this output going to be? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be just text? Is it going to be a bullet pointed list based on sources that you give it? Or is it going to be a deep research type of thing? That's what Zendesk and Sierra are going to be pricing their agents based on. So again, results-based model. Okay, interesting. Interesting take here. Yeah, pricing. I would love to see more data on this pricing because it is so impactful on really anything. So now the key debates. This is what I really wanted to talk about. The first one, how big is this opportunity from a conservative standpoint? So this slide is about the conservative aspect. A conservative view on agentic AI puts it at $6 billion valuation today and expected to reach $20 billion by 2028. Okay, so that's, I mean, OpenAI itself is worth over $6 billion. So this is a very, very conservative model. And looking at it here, 2019, can you see that all the way? This is the 2019, very low, 1.8 billion, up to about 20 billion in 2020. And this is the conservative one. It's projecting cloud compute and cloud-based agents to be the vast, vast majority. And where did that take off? So right about now, we're at even. The valuation was 2.4 billion for cloud and 2.2 billion for non-cloud. But then projected this year at the end of the year to be 4 billion for cloud and 2.5 billion for non-cloud. So that's the breakaway point. And this is where like an AWS or a Google Cloud comes into play. And from the Web3 side of things, this is where an Aether comes into play. This is where even potentially could a Gaib fit into something like this, because they're going to be tokenizing compute and putting it into a marketplace, commoditizing that compute. Could cloud compute fall into that? And if it could, that's a really interesting proposition, especially looking at these projected outcomes where cloud compute, or rather cloud-based agents, are just totally taking the market. Okay, let's get some definitions here. System of record AI agent. Aligning the SOR market opportunity with IDC's labor-centric automation market segment. $16 billion market today. Okay, so this is about the more liberal projection, whereas the first one was conservative, starting it at $6 billion valuation today, $20 billion in about 3 years. This one's saying we're at a $52 billion opportunity today and projected to just about double by 2028 to $102 billion. It's a good investment, I'd say. From an investment standpoint, just looking at those projections, 6 to 20 as opposed to 52 to 102. Obviously, the conservative outlook is better for investors, right? Like your rate of return is going to be much, much higher. It's 4x as opposed to just under 2x. So is it too late to get that 4x? I seriously doubt it, because these projections only go to 2028. Of course, we've seen projections to 2030 that take us possibly into the trillions of dollars, although based on these projections, I wouldn't necessarily say that. This Morgan Stanley report would not suggest to me that we would be reaching $1 trillion by 2030. But yeah, from an investment standpoint, that looks like you want to have the conservative bet. But what we know about the market now, it's already higher than that conservative bet. Probably closer to this expansive view, what would otherwise be known as a liberal take on the market today. So looking at it, this is a more, this doesn't have that exponential explosion in 2027 and 2028 like the previous chart did. You see, it just really takes off. Over the next 3 years, it's expected to really take off in this conservative view from a percentage standpoint, whereas this is a more linear increase. It's more incremental, and the increments are proportional to each other. And that's their liberal view. So the system of engagement, AI agent, there's two different types of agents that they're looking at here. System of record agents as opposed to system of engagement agents. The engagement agents align the SOE market opportunity with IDC's system-centric, decision-centric, and business value engineering market segments. Okay. Moving along here. As agentic AI solutions mature, more of the application software market should open up as potential opportunity. So that means that the apps that are built with the software that's built, which is basically the apps, are going to be more expansive. There's going to be more of them, basically serving more use cases, or many of them serving the same use case in different ways. So this is the projected growth of that market in billions. Okay, whoa. So the application market is expected to be almost $850 billion in valuation. Really? Is it really like that? I mean, Windows would count as that. Or are they talking about a ChatGPT would be the application software? I think I would need to understand their definitions here a little better. Maybe there's more further down. No, there's not. But dang. Okay, so there's your close to $1 trillion valuation. The agents themselves aren't going to be as valuable. It's the applications that are using the agents that are going to be more valuable, which makes perfect sense when you think about it. How many different applications could be running using the same agent? It could be dozens, it could be hundreds. I think that's what they're trying to say here. And next, where will value accrue for these agents? The most value likely accrues to the hyperscalers and AI infrastructure layer, as AI agent deployments likely result in significant utilization of significant compute resources. Basically what this is saying, or the way I understand it, is that the hyperscalers are going to win out in this hierarchy of values because they're going to have the most compute to give out, and people are going to utilize them more because of the greater accessibility. Hyperscalers at the very top. I mean, what would you expect? You're not going to have a non-hyperscaler. They just have the most accessibility and the most availability of compute. Who's like in the middle? Let's try to zoom in. This font is horrible. I didn't make this report, and I would not have made this look like this if I did. Workflow automation. Lifecycle platforms. Interesting in the middle. Data infrastructure, that makes sense. Model providers, again, that makes sense. They're going to be generating a lot of value. Okay, I really want to get down to the bottom of what InfraFi means. We'll do that in other videos though. AI code assistant. Oh yeah. Leaders definitely, this all makes sense. Alibaba Cloud, definitely a challenger, not that big yet. Although in China, they're serving a lot. So we'll see what happens with the Chinese market. Tencent, same thing. Codium. Okay. AWS, Google Cloud, they're the top. So we'll wrap it up here. Basically what I'm seeing is the big corporations, the huge institutions are going to be eating everybody's lunch as expected. But we're looking at like a nearly $1 trillion valuation of this market in just a couple of years. Right now, we're probably around 50 billion, maybe a little higher than that. But yeah, this is something to invest in and spend a lot of time understanding. And of course, following Swept Media to get all of your news about it. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.